Brew Strong is brought to you by Blickman Engineering, home of the top-tier brewing stand. Visit them online at blickmanengineering.com.
Brewers, it's time for the beer radio you've been looking for. This is the show that dispels myths, tackles the toughest topics, and makes no apologies for geeking out on beer. Hosted by two guys that drink before they think, Jamil and John Palmer. This is Brew Strong.
Hey, howdy, hey, my brewing brothers and sisters.
Greetings.
John.
Well, I'm having trouble hearing you over the music.
Yeah. You know, we got Steve here working.
Yes.
He likes to hear the music rather than us.
Yes.
Right.
Enthusiastic Steve.
Can you blame me? Come on.
Yes.
Yeah. It was starting a little late. I spent a good hour and 15 minutes inching along the road. Took me an hour to go 3 miles.
Wow.
An hour. And I had to go across the bridge. I didn't really have a choice. And
what are they doing? Some repair work or something?
Yeah. So they had the center lanes closed because apparently the expansion joint on the bridge, some piece of metal had come up in it, and as people were driving across, it was flattening their tires. So that was this morning, and I guess they kind of, or it happened some other time, I don't know. And they decided when I am driving to the studio that's when they should close the center lanes and finally fix it. And so I inched along. It took me to go 5 miles. It took me an hour and 15 minutes. And then I was at the bridge where they had it closed. And as they were picking up the last 2 to 3 cones, they were picking them up as I drove past.
Wow.
It was great. It was really great. I will say, Vivo sent me a nice text. Like, hey, don't worry. Don't rush. There's nothing you can do to change it.
Well, I'm glad you're here because I would have just turned around and left. I mean, screw that,
Oh, yeah, if I could have turned around, I would have.
I was gonna text you and be like, "Do you want to just reschedule?"
Yeah, that would have been great. But there was no.
You couldn't even get off.
Yeah, you don't need. Well, getting off this is something else. But
stop it.
I could not. I was stuck on that freeway. The approach to the bridge, that was it. The 5 miles. Before the expansion joint, that's where I was. And I had no choice. I have been known to, drive across medians and whatever it takes to turn around.
Small ducks.
Yeah. Yeah. Median ducks and small ducks and large ducks, any size. But there is a 3-foot high concrete barrier in the middle of the roadway on the approach to the Benicia Bridge. So I could not. I thought about ramming it really hard or turning around on the shoulder. The shoulder's wide enough to drive on. I'm thinking I could turn around on the shoulder and just drive down the shoulder the wrong direction of the freeway. I mean, traffic's not moving. Not like somebody's going to, wildly hit me because everyone stopped.
You would get so arrested.
If the cop could get over to me. I mean, it was bumper to bumper.
Bike police.
I could have walked there to here faster than I drove. That's the amazing thing. Well, Have you ever been in the car with our good friend John Blickman?
I have, in fact.
With him driving?
Yep.
What kind of a driver is he?
He's good. He, doesn't use turn signals or the brakes very often, but, good driver. I mean, he avoids things quite well.
Heavy use of the accelerator?
Yeah. He's got one of those big black SUVs, with weapons rack in the back of it.
Yeah.
And,
tinted windows.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Spikes coming out the hub like some gladiator movie.
Yeah, 3-foot tires and the whole business.
Mm-hmm.
But he drives it quite well.
Can he run over any small animals while you
Yes. Yeah? They have lots of ducks in Indiana.
Yeah.
And groundhogs, too.
Yeah, it does not surprise me. Because I'll tell you this. Our good friend John Blickman, he is a bold man.
Yes, gives cow tipping a whole new meaning.
He bold and creative. That's that guy.
That's right.
So he doesn't just accept the way things are done. He's always looking for a new way to do it and to do it better. And my personal experience from using all the Blickman gear is that it shows in the equipment. It's not just done, if something's done the right way, he's fine with doing it that way.
Yeah.
But he's always wondering, is this the best way that this piece of brewing equipment could work? Like the beer gun. He looked at how people were filling bottles. And it's like, wait, there's a better way to do this. And invented a better way to do it. Just revolutionary. And so he's always thinking on it, what's Tower of Power, whether it's, the false bottoms, all those things. He's always looking for a better way to do it. I think that's just awesome.
Yeah.
One of the reasons I love the guy. It doesn't sound like I want to ride with him, but I'll tell you this, I still love the guy. Maybe I'll drive next time. He'll probably scream at me. Has he been in the car when you're driving?
No, he hasn't.
Now that's an experience. That is truly an experience riding with you, John.
I wouldn't know.
Yeah. Well, you should have like a video camera on your passengers' faces. I'm saying you could get like millions of YouTube hits if people watch the faces of your passengers. It's like faces of death. This is faces of the about to die. Huh? A whole new YouTube channel. Hey?
And the funny thing is, my kids prefer to ride with me than their mother.
Oh my God, that's got to be something else.
She tailgates really close.
Oh my God. John, I love you. I think you're a brilliant man. I think you're funny. I think you're kind. I think you're generous. I think you're just wonderful.
I'm just oblivious.
Yeah, exactly. Riding with you is just one of the worst things I've ever experienced in my life. You're not that bad. I imagine you don't hit that many things.
True.
Because a lot of them get out of the way, or but still, not my top friend to ride with.
I understand.
I mean, you got to have some flaw, right?
That's right. That's right.
You can't be perfect. You got to have, Superman has his kryptonite. Yours is, yeah. There we go.
What?
All right, well, let's not dwell on that.
Fair enough.
Yeah, it's giving me like flashbacks. I'm getting like PTSD here from riding with you. Oh, Jesus Christ! All right, enough about traffic. All right, so our topic for today, which I thought, did you come up with this topic or did somebody else bring this up?
No, I came up with it.
Yeah, I think it's brilliant. It's kind of like, we talk about the differences between home and home brewing, or small scale brewing and bigger scale brewing. Really, what's the impact? What's the difference? A lot of times people will say, well, Brewery X does this, and so that's how I'm doing it. And it's like, yeah, you're doing it for the wrong reason. Just
right.
because a bigger brewery does it doesn't mean it's the best way to homebrew.
They have whirlpools. I need a whirlpool,
right?
Kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, we thought we'd talk about, what are the differences between small scale, large scale, and why are they done that way? Give you an insight. Very often, large scale brewing are dealing with issues that we don't have as small scale brewers. Things we really don't have to worry about. We don't have to, engineer around. So
Yeah,
I thought it'd be useful to go through the entire brewing process, you know, the different stages, and just kind of illustrate some of these differences. So, yeah, I'm glad you think it's a good topic.
Yeah, I think it's brilliant. Why don't we do this? Why don't we take a short break, and when we come back, we can get into the whole process from soup to nuts. All right?
He said nuts.
All right, we'll be back right after this.
If you haven't heard, there's a completely new brand of brewing equipment. Kettles, burners, and accessories. Trustworthy everyday gear that helps you forge and shape outstanding beer the way you want. It's called Anvil Brewing Equipment.
Hi, I'm John Palmer. You may remember me from such self-help books as How to Brew, Brewing Classic Styles, Water, and the Brew Strong podcast. I am very pleased to announce the debut of Anvil Brewing Equipment from Blickman Engineering. I have been working closely with them these past few years to develop products that combine the best of materials, features, and price point. Each of these products has been developed, tested, and reviewed to meet these ideals and bears the Palmer Brewing Solutions stamp of approval on the packaging. Anvil Brewing Equipment, inspired by Palmer, built by Blickman, and made for you.
Check out anvilbrewing.com. Anvil. Durable, reliable, dependable. Your support of the Brewing Network means everything to us. We couldn't produce shows without you. And we love giving you something extra for that support. Like Brew Your Own magazine. You already know it's a great brewing magazine full of recipes, equipment how-tos, discussions of beer styles, and brewing techniques. Whether you're new to brewing and just starting out or you're an old pro, you'll always learn something from the articles in Brew Your Own. Plus, they're amazing special issues like plans for building a Brutus 10 system, 250 classic clone recipes, and the Homebrewers Answer Book. Brew Your Own magazine and BYO.com are awesome resources for any brewer, whether for yourself or as a gift. When you subscribe or resubscribe from the Brewing Network homepage, you directly support programs like this. Get a great magazine and support the Brewing Network. Subscribe to Brew Your Own right from the BrewingNetwork.com.
Say hello to my little friend.
You've heard about White Labs Pure Pitch yeast. Pure Pitch is yeast grown right in its final packaging. That means yeast that has never been exposed to the environment. And White Labs Pure Pitch yeast for homebrewers is now available to everyone at homebrew retailers nationwide. Easy to use, perfectly sized, and ready to pitch. White Labs yeast packaged using their Flex Cell process ensures the purest yeast on the market. Visit whitelabs.com to learn more about Pure Pitch, Flex Cell technology, and how it's created. Then visit a homebrew retailer near you for your own perfectly sized package of Pure Pitch yeast. And you can say hello to your own little friend. www.whitelabs.com. Do you know the three most important rules in brewing? Sanitation, sanitation, and sanitation. And no one does it better than 5-Star Chemicals. 5-Star knows sanitation. You can only sanitize clean equipment. And 5-Star knows how to clean, too. For craft brewers and home brewers, 5-Star has what you need to keep your fermenters, serving tanks, kegs, and draft lines sparkling and free of any beer-spoiling bacteria. PBW, caustic, acid cleaners, Star San, SanaClean, lubricants and defoamers, pH stabilizers, and more. 5-Star Chemicals has cleaning supplies, safety supplies, heat exchangers, pumps, hoses, and valves. And 5-Star is proud to offer eco-friendly products that exceed customer expectations. If you have a cleaning problem, you need the 5-Star solution. Visit 5starchemicals.com or call 800-782-7019. 800-782-7019 and get the 5-Star treatment today.
Back to the beer guys that make other beer guys look like wine guys. Brew Strong.
All right, we're back. We're talking home versus commercial.
Yes. Why do we do what we do?
Well, I drink beer because it's good.
Yes.
It's good for me. And that's pretty much 90% of what I do and why I do it right there.
Okay. Well, it doesn't explain the magazine subscriptions, but... Well, actually, it does. You're right. Okay. Never mind.
There you go.
Anyway. So, the first thing I was going to ask was, you use a 6-roller mill, I believe, at Heretic?
No, we don't.
Oh, okay.
Right. So, a lot of times the goal of a 6-roller mill is for better efficiency. I mean, they're trying to
higher yield,
get a higher yield. And I was talking to somebody about this today, but yield in the mash tun is not my greatest concern. So I'll probably spend $300,000 to $500,000 on base malt this year.
Okay.
But if I gain 1% or 2%, yeah, that's money. But it's really not that much money.
Okay.
It's not like I'm Anheuser-Busch and I'm producing,
millions
in a year. And then it's substantial money. And I think, a lot of times the interesting thing is a lot of homebrewers, they focus on, oh, my God, I got to get this, higher percentage. I got to get this professional percentage of, extract.
Right.
And that's not really the case. And somebody was asking me today, what sort of efficiency we shoot for. And I'm like, it doesn't matter. I don't really care. Does the beer taste good? Is our process consistent? Is the gravity we're hitting? I don't even know what our efficiency is. I'm like, it's like 80s, somewhere in the mid-80s. It doesn't really matter to me. Am I going to try and get like 87 instead of 85? No, I don't care. I mean, I said, once I've fully gone through every one of our processes and maximize those, then I'll worry about that. But the beer tastes really good. And so, I'm not going to worry about saving a couple of $1,000s a year. Even as we grow, it's still not that important to me.
Right.
What is important is that we have a 2-roller mill or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's or maybe it's a 3. I don't know what it is.
It's a 3-roller.
3-roller, yeah, 3-roller, and they're larger rollers. So there's less, tearing. They're smooth rollers. Or so when they're larger, they can pull the malt through. If it's small, you have to knurl the heck out of it so it'll pull the malt through. Otherwise, it rides on top.
Right.
So that's why the smaller rollers are not good. 2 rollers fine. The smaller rollers with the knurling, it tends to shred the husk, but even that's fine. I went with a Valley mill for forever as a home brewer. Worked great, not a problem. People that are totally worried about the mill and the crush and all that, they're worrying about something that isn't that important. I think you get a decent crush, and you're good to go.
Good. Yeah, I've got a 3-roller mill, and I've used different mills over the years. And you're right, when the rollers are small and the knurling's real deep, yeah, you do end up getting a lot of shredding. Mm-hmm. And I've tried other mills that had had some, like an early prototype had horizontal cuts in it, and ended up cutting the grain in half rather than crushing it.
Right. I remember
kind of a shearing thing. And that was,
right.
That definitely didn't work well, but they've fixed that now. So, yeah, I mean, what's important is that you get, the starch exposed to the mash and have, access to the enzymes.
And crumble it up a little bit.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, well, it's moving on to the mash. Mm-hmm. Now, of course, typically, what style of mash tun do you have, Jamil? Do you have you have a large false bottom, I assume? Or just a big bottom in general?
Don't talk about my bottom. No, we have a separate mash and a separate lauter.
Okay.
So they're two separate vessels. It's a 4-vessel system, so separate mash, lauter, kettle, whirlpool.
Okay.
Now,
And why do you have a 4-vessel system as opposed to a 2 or 3 vessel?
So a 4-vessel allows you to start your next batch faster. So once the mash tun has been emptied into the lauter, we can go ahead and start to dough in our next mash.
Okay. Yeah.
And while that's sitting in the lauter, then we've got the next mash in. And while we're lautering into the kettle, that's converting.
Okay.
Then we dump out the lauter and we transfer the mash over to the lauter. And while the first one is boiling, the second one's going through its Vorloff in the lauter.
Okay.
And then we transfer over to the whirlpool. And while it's going through the whirlpool and go through the heat exchanger and all that, the first one is transferred over to the boil and gets to boiling. And, behind that is coming another mash. And so you can go around the clock. We can do an additional batch of beer with 2 hours.
Oh. Okay.
It's only a 2-hour addition to get our next batch done. So that means if, one batch is taking you 8 or 10 hours, well, 2 batches only takes you 10 or 12. 3 batches only takes you, 12 or 14.
Sure.
4 batches only takes you, 14 or 16. And you can see that you can get like 8 batches in around the clock. If I only had a 2-vessel system, the first one's tied up until it's into the boil and then emptied out. And by the time I've done all that, the boil's pretty much done. And, it's time to, and I'm just mashing in again. So you don't have quite that savings. You can add pre-run tanks, additional louders, things like that to double up on the points in the process that take the longest.
Yeah.
So usually that's around the lauter and in the kettle. So usually either there's a pre-run tank where you hold the wort before the boil, or you add an extra lauter. So the mash mixing is really quick. So we've got a mash mixer in a jacketed tank, and so the grain comes in with the water and gets stirred up and gets mixed thoroughly, and then it gets pumped over to the lauter.
Okay, so how long does it take to do these transfers typically?
20 minutes.
Okay, and you have what size system?
37 barrel.
37 barrel. Okay.
And there's a reason behind it. But, homebrew-wise, unless you're trying to do back-to-back batches, really, you're just fine with, a 2-vessel system, a combined mash lauter. Yeah. You can kind of design a lauter to be a little bit more efficient if it doesn't have to, have everything else on it. But really, combined mash lauter is fine. Combined kettle whirlpool is fine.
Oh, okay, interesting. All right. Well, so going into the detail of the mash itself, like, my leanings, and lots of homebrewers love to adjust their water, adding salts and adding acids. How much do you do that on a professional scale?
So what we do is we carbon filter the water. Based on, water changes and the pH of the mash, we will add acid. I think if you add some acid, you knock down some of the hardness, and you're fine to go. And then we'll add back some gypsum for the hoppy beers and chalk for the dark beers.
Okay.
And we'll check pH multiple times, and sometimes depending on the water and the mash, we'll need a little bit more acid, and that's about it.
Okay. So you Well, I mean, I know you brew lots of different styles there. So, roughly how many styles do you do on a weekly basis?
Weekly, we probably brew 3 or 4 different beers.
Okay.
And, every week we brew either the twin or the cousin, and then either the shallow grave or the chocolate hazelnut porter. And then maybe we'll squeeze in a special or something like that, or something else we're doing. We've done, we must have done like 30 or 40 different beers by now. I don't know, we've done a lot.
Yeah.
We keep doing, different ones every month, or at least. We just did a 20% ABV beer with orange blossom honey, blood oranges. Yeah, with Michael Fairbrother from Moonlight. Yeah, and now we're doing one of my guys. I challenged my guys. I'm like, what would we do for 20% beers? For like big beer. Who's got ideas? And 2 of my guys came up with really good ideas. And I'm like, all right, we'll do them. And so now we're doing it's kind of like a Russian Imperial Stout with coffee and vanilla and chocolate aged in bourbon barrels.
Okay.
And again, like big ABV.
Yeah.
We got some more. So we're doing that this week, and then we just lots of different beers. We're big in, again. It's odd because now we're big enough sales wise, and our tap room's busy enough that we can actually do 37 barrels of one off, and it's not a big deal. It's like, we'll sell that.
Ah, cool. Say, going back to the mash, what length of time do you use for your mash? And how do you ever do like a short mash or a longer mash, depending on the recipe?
Not really. I mean, by the time it's all grained in and thoroughly mixed with the water, and then pumping it over, and then we Vorloff for, until it's nice and clear. By the time you do all that, it's been like 60 minutes, 90 minutes. So you're done, and it's time to run off. So
it's really more of a kind of a in-process
mash
time. Yeah.
Right.
And not really, okay, we're transferred, and now let's start the clock for an hour kind of thing. It's because you're really waiting on for transfer.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Right. You're just waiting for the next vessel to be empty.
Okay.
Yep.
And do you do multi-rest, or do you do mash outs?
We haven't done multi-rest. I think, what were we talking about using a multi-rest for? We're talking about using it for some beer, but maybe we did for the 20%er. I have to look back in the notes, but no, we generally don't. I'm a big fan of single infusion. I think that works, and it's very simple. But the cost to have the jackets removed were as much as the cost of having the jackets added to the brew plant. So we're just like, yeah, fine, leave the jackets on. So
now explain that a little bit. I mean, these are what, steam jackets? Or?
Right, steam jackets on all our vessels. So except for steam jacket on the mash and on the kettle and the calandria.
Okay. So
everything's heated with steam from a boiler, low pressure steam up to 15 psi, and
and that allows you to do multi-rest or not?
Yeah, we could. We could dough in at whatever we want, and then turn on the jackets in the mixer and ramp it up to whatever we want. Easy enough.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't use that currently. We might someday. Someday, I think we will.
That's right.
We'll be like, hey, yeah, we're going to use this thing.
Sounds good.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then mash out, you generally don't do either, right?
No. We'll transfer over to the lauter, and we'll sparge with, hotter water.
Okay.
But we don't bother, doing a mash out step necessarily.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's one of the beauties of, having a, single step infusion and, having a mash temperature that you're comfortable with is you transfer it through these vessels. The mash is so big that it just retains its temperature, and you can transfer it through, and it's at the same temperature the whole time.
Nice.
It's really not like, oh my God, temperature's dropping or going up or whatever. It's just you're just sitting at your mash temperature, so you don't have to really worry about anything. And then you transfer out to the kettle, and then you fire up the kettle, and you've pretty much denatured your enzymes. You're done. Yeah.
I've been talking to a few people the last few weeks where they're trying to brew with smaller volumes, say 1 gallon, 3 gallon, and so on.
Mm-hmm.
And temperature control seems to have been an issue for them.
Oh yeah.
So I can see that in those small volumes. It's going to heat or lose heat more quickly,
mm-hmm.
whereas that just doesn't really happen for you.
Right. Yeah. You got to have the mass. Got to have the mass. All right.
Wish we take another quick break.
Yeah, I was just going to say, let's take a quick break, and when we come back, more of Home versus Commercial right after this.
Beer tasting games that train your palate, a brewery locator, and the brand new interactive beer style guide. These are just a few of the awesome things you'll find on craftbeer.com. The style guide is a beautiful example of technology in beer. Browse beer style families or turn on the automatic beer style finder and explore beer through color, bitterness, ABV, aroma, and flavor. It's really the coolest way to explore every beer style besides having them all in front of you. Go to craftbeer.com and click on beer styles to start the guide. Plus, enjoy the rest of craftbeer.com, the Brewers Banter blogs, beer education, how to host a beer tasting, and the invaluable draft quality manual. Tons of great content that makes your beer better. Visit the new craftbeer.com right now and explore the website that brings you all the passion, camaraderie, and creativity of the craft beer community. Craftbeer.com, celebrating the best of American beer. A few things happened 30 years ago.
ARPANET migrated to TCP/IP, and the Internet was born. Revenge of the Jedi was renamed Return of the Jedi and opened in theaters. Mila Kunis and Emily Blunt were born, beginning a rad fantasy in my mind.
But all of that pales next to the fact that HopTech opened its doors and began blowing homebrewers right out of their mash tuns. HopTech doesn't fuck around. Real people shipping awesome shit straight to you. Their new website is fast and easy to navigate. Or just call 800-379-4677 and let badass bitch Jade and the gadget guy Roberto blow their warm load of customer service all over you. So visit the site or visit the store in Dublin, California and support those that support you. Get your brewing on at hoptech.com.
Hey, my brewing brothers and sisters. This is Jamil Zainashev, and I want to tell you about Heretic Evil Twin. You might be familiar with my homebrew recipe, which uses massive late hopping to create a balance between the malty sweet and the hoppy bitter, along with an outrageous malt and hop character. I wanted a beer with the same bold hop and malt character, so we played around with the homebrew recipe until we were able to make a great commercial version too. We've created a beer rich in malt character, full of caramel, toast, biscuit, and an ever so subtle roast note. On top of that, we piled in an insane amount of Citra and Columbus hops at the end of the boil, as well as in dry hopping. This damn-the-cost approach to hopping gives Heretic's Evil Twin a great blast of citrus and tropical fruit that can't be matched by any other hop. The result is a bold, malty, hoppy, but easy-drinking beer. This is our top seller, our flagship beer, and I couldn't be prouder of it. Cheers.
To find Heretic beers near you, click on Find Some at hereticbrewing.com.
Williams Brewing is your online resource for prompt delivery of quality home brewing supplies. Since 1979, Williams Brewing has offered the finest equipment and the freshest ingredients, backed by the best customer service in the business. Do you like to mash using efficient fly sparging, but would like an easy way to heat your strike and sparge water? Enter the new Brewer's Edge electric mash water heater, a plug-in, anywhere, precisely controlled heater for strike and sparge water. Ditch the fumes and second burner and make mashing easy. Go to williamsbrewing.com today and browse their vast selection. That's williamsbrewing.com. Orders placed by 4 p.m. Pacific Time weekdays ship the same day. Brewing is easy the Williams way.
Ken Grossman of Sierra Nevada Brewing Company says making great beer is hard. Making the same great beer every day is harder. Brewers Publications announces its latest release for breweries of any type and size. Quality Management, an essential guide for brewers by Mary Pelletieri. Proper quality management for small, regional, and national breweries is critical. Whether you are an established business or brand new, learn the best ways to create and manage a quality system in your brewery. This book will guide you in developing a comprehensive program that will grow with your brewery, help ensure quality processes in the brewery, and continue providing great beer for your fans. Quality management for breweries is critical for continued success. This guidebook teaches you to integrate quality management in every level of the operation. It will guide you in developing a comprehensive program to ensure quality processes in your brewery. Quality Management, an essential guide for brewers, now available from Brewers Publications. Learn more at brewerspublications.com.
That's it. I've had it. I am never putting hops in my beer again.
What? Why?
It's just too ridiculous. Insane prices, stupid contracts, high shipping costs, crappy selection.
Dude, you need Nico Brew.
Nico Brew will rock your f***ing face right the f*** off your f***ing skull. $5 shipping to all 50 states, plus fantastic international rates get you low prices on Nico Brew's great selection of hops and more. Whether you're a home brewer, a pro brewer, or a homebrew shop owner, Nico Brew can get you the hops you need in increments big and small, single orders, spot buys, or full contracts. And there's only one place to join the uber special secret elite bare bones club where you'll get the best deals anywhere.
Holy shit.
NicoBrew.com. NIKOBREW. Nico Brew, your bare bones buddy in the brewing business.
Back to the two guys that know how to turn beer into beer. This is Brew Strong.
All right, we're back.
Yes.
John, have you? You're a fan of Blickman products. Would that be correct?
Very much so. Yes.
Well, you know where to get Blickman products?
Your local homebrew shop.
Absolutely. If your local homebrew shop doesn't have it, I'll tell you where you go. Great Fermentations. Did you know that they have the largest catalog of Blickman products on the web?
I wouldn't be surprised to hear that. No.
Right. So if you're looking for some of the products we talk about, some of the products that John enjoys, I enjoy, that we've tried out, all the new gadgets that Monsieur Blickman has, Great Fermentations will have it. So check that out on the web. They provide same-day shipping on a lot of the main items that you would want. You know, you're looking for, the kettles and things like this, the common things. They've got them. Yeah. A lot of people, it's going to take like 3 weeks because they got to get it from Blickman, and then, and then it's shipped to them, and, yada, yada, yada. No, these guys stock it. They've got it ready to rock and roll. If you're like jonesing right now for, some Blickman gear, go over to Great Fermentations, check it out.
Yeah.
They can get it to you same-day shipping. Our staff at Great Fermentations, some of the best training using the Blickman products. So if you got a question, it's like, hey, I got this beer gun. What's the best way to to use it? How do I get least oxygen, least foaming? What do I do? They can walk you through it. And they've got top-notch customer service. good folks there at Great Fermentation. So check them out. Great
Indeed,
Fermentations for all your Blickman needs. And, like we said, support your local homebrew shop. But, there's times when your local homebrew shop does not have what you have what you want. And, you ask them, they're like, I don't know. And you go, all right, Great Fermentations.
If your spouse said yes to a new brew pot, don't wait.
That's right.
Order it quickly.
There you go. Yeah, you don't want to give them a chance to, say, hey, no, you ain't getting it. Baby, I love you, but you ain't getting a new brew pot. So there you go. All right. Back to home versus commercial.
Okay. One thing that you'll often see in professional breweries such as yourself is swan necks coming off the lauter tun. I don't know if your brewery is of a size to need more than a couple of those, but do you have a lauter grant and swan necks, Jamil?
No, we don't. Generally, you need a swan neck and a grant when your lauter is not keeping up with whatever pump you have that's pumping over to your kettle. If you're using gravity, which I suggest for a lot of homebrew use, gravity is great to, just run off into your kettle. As slow as it's running, as fast as it's running, which might change based recipe to recipe. And homebrewers are constantly changing their recipes. So they may have something where it's running slower or running faster, and they don't know. It's the first time they've brewed it. So having gravity to aid you in your runoff to kettle, that's ideal. The reason commercial brewers don't do it is because we can't put these giant vessels way up in the air. I mean, we could, but it's just not not generally feasible
or safe.
Yeah. Or safe, yeah. So we already got catwalks and stuff to get up to the vessels. If you start putting them on multiple levels, the expense of the catwalks gets kind of crazy. If you can avoid a pump, I think that's ideal. Commercial, we have to use a pump. So a lot of times the pump is outsized for how quick the lauter can keep up. In our case, our lauter actually runs at a good clip, and the pump never outruns it. We can also set the speed of our runoff from the lauter. We can valve that and control it, so it's really not needed. I think, you see the swan neck and the grant in really old designs, and that was because they didn't have things like VFDs, and valves were expensive, crazy things. Nowadays that stuff's cheap and easy. So I think that's one of the reasons.
Okay, what's the diameter of your lauter tun?
Oh, Jesus,
roughly.
I knew exactly. I have a spreadsheet to calculate every mash we do and the diameter of the lauter and the thickness of the bed. It's 88, I think.
88 inches.
Yeah.
Which is what, 6.5, 7 feet, something like that.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, 7 feet. Anyway, so under that you probably have multiple pickup points underneath your false bottom. Okay.
Well,
and that, in a very large system you would have, probably a dozen. Some of the real large, the 100-barrel systems.
Right.
Whereas, in home system, you really just have one, pickup underneath your false bottom because it can pull, readily from the whole area, even if you have like a 20-gallon or a 1-barrel system. So, do you ever? You mentioned variable flow devices, I assume. I think that's what that VFD stands for.
Well, for variable frequency drive to change the speed of the motors that are running the pumps.
Ah, okay. Does So do you regulate? Is there some software or valves that regulate the uniformity of the flow underneath the lauter tun, underneath the false bottom of the lauter tun?
No. It's all just coming out and through one point.
Okay, so it's still kind of a small enough scale, even in for a 35 barrel system,
right?
To accommodate that. Interesting. Okay. When you sparge, I assume the water gets distributed somehow over the grain bed?
Yeah.
Like a spray arm kind of thing?
Yeah. There's a few points that spray it. I don't know how important that is.
Yeah.
If you get an inch of water on top, I think you could come in from almost anywhere, and I think you're fine.
Okay. You normally maintain water over the grain bed?
Yeah, we try to.
Okay. Are there brewing situations where you wouldn't, where you draw it down and
Well, towards the end of your lauter, it's important to kind of time out your kettle volumes with drawing down the water in the lauter, because you don't want a ton of water left over in the grain bed, because we have to dispose of that grain, and it's not as simple as like throwing it in a trash can. It's 2,500 pounds of grain that has to get augered out or shoveled out into bins. It has to go to a farmer, and if it's really wet and sloppy, it's difficult for them to drive it on the truck, without it sloshing over the side. If it's dry, it'll all stay in the bin. Yeah. And a lot more weight.
Okay. Interesting. Okay. Okay, well, how often do you need to use lautering rakes when you're sparging or lautering? What is the purpose of those? Just to keep the bed permeable, or?
Well, generally we'll use it to kind of even out our mash gets pumped in from at one point in the lauter.
Okay.
So you can kind of run the rakes and kind of even it out all the way across the whole thing. We've used the rakes. If you've got a stuck mash or something like that, you can cut the bed with the rakes. You can cut it all the way down to near the bottom. We actually, once early on, we actually got a stuck mash where we had pulled the grain into the false bottom. And so we were able to drop the rakes, reverse them, and essentially just suck it all back out of the the bottom. It was great. And then everything was fine again.
Cool. Okay. So yeah, a little different scale of problems than on the homebrewing level again.
Right. Yeah, you have to rely on machinery to do a lot of the things for you, because the scale's so big you can't physically do it yourself. And that's also part of the danger of commercial brewing is, you've got these high energy sources moving around and, take your arm off.
Oh, yeah, I bet. Okay, let's move on to the boil. How long does it take to fill the kettle from the lauter?
I'd have to look at the logs, what they're doing now, but I think it's boy, the lauter still takes a long time. Close to 2 hours.
Oh, okay. And does it
hour and a half?
Wow. So 2 hours to kind of lauter and fill the kettle. Do you do any first wort hopping?
No.
Okay. And what's your opinion on that? I mean, just doesn't seem worth the effort, or it's just easier to.
I think all it does is make your beer more bitter. It's just like a longer boil. I don't think it actually entrains or entraps any sort of finer hop flavor or anything like that.
Right. Okay. So yeah, it just messes with your bittering calculations then.
Yeah, I just don't think there's any use to it.
Okay. Do you add salts in the kettle?
No.
Okay, so you've done that all at the beforehand in the water itself or in the mash.
Right. I think the mash is the most important part for that.
Okay, yeah. Now, you have an internal
Not to say
calandria.
I wouldn't add to the boil if I needed to.
Right, okay. Yeah. So you still have the option.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. You have an internal calandria in your kettle?
Uh-huh.
Okay. And that it's not, you're not necessarily doing a conventional boil like we do, on the homebrew sale with a burner underneath the pot. You've got a calandria that's heating it's sitting in the middle of the boil.
Right. There's jackets as well.
Okay.
What the calandria is just imagine extra jackets in a few concentric circles sitting in the middle of the kettle. So there's jackets on the outside. Well, take those jackets and put them in the middle in a concentrated spot, several rings of them. And it's essentially dimple plate, 2 dimple plates kind of welded together, and then put in rings, and the steam goes up into those dimple plate and exits those things. So you're getting more surface area of heat.
Okay.
Again, the heat never exceeds 250 degrees Fahrenheit because it's 15 psi steam maximum.
Okay.
So it's less harsh than a flame, a directed flame, but it's still a concentration of heat. But what's nice about the calandria is it boils the liquid right there in that area.
Mm-hmm.
It's in the middle. It just starts boiling pretty quick. So maybe all the rest of the liquid isn't boiling quite yet, but that'll get it going. And once that's going, it circulates the liquid very well. So
a lot of convection that way.
Yeah, it'll come, shooting up the middle of the calandria. It hits like a hat,
mm-hmm.
Kind of like a...
kind of a saucer shaped.
Yeah. And then that knocks it back down into the rest of the boil and kind of hits towards the outsides of the kettle. And so you get this kind of circulation pattern going from the center out to the sides. And so it very thoroughly mixes your wort and, makes sure that any volatile compounds are being driven off, your hop utilization, all that stuff. That's what's really important. If you can achieve that at a lower input of heat, your beer will taste better. So, for homebrewers, a lot of times I've seen people where they so violently boil their wort that they're actually damaging the wort and damaging their beer. And with less thermal stress, they could make a better beer. You still need to get enough turnover through the volume of liquid so that it's mixing it very thoroughly and exposing all the wort to that point of vaporization of some of these volatile compounds at the surface so they can blow off. And so that's the important part. I think you could actually probably use a lower heat, where you almost weren't boiling, and stir it really well, and you might actually do better in some cases. So that's just a theory.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense. Yeah.
Do they have like homebrewing calandrias? Yeah.
I've never seen one. If you had the ability to generate steam, I would think you could, or you could make maybe an electric one or something.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, potentially electric one would work. Have to turn our good friend John Blickman onto that.
Yeah, get Blickman rocking and rolling into that, and maybe he would show it at the AHA
National Homebrew
Conference. Yeah. I tell you, the AHA, that's a fine organization right there. I am so pleased with them. I'll tell you, you can give the gift of the American Homebrewers Association this year. You sign up through the Brewing Network. You click on the right side of the website. You're going to receive they've got a link there. You're going to receive a free copy of Modern Homebrew Recipes from Gordon Strong when you enter coupon code MODERN at checkout, MODERN, Check out some of our listeners can't spell. Don't look at me that way, Steve. But what I love about the AHA is pub discount program. Come down to Heretic, we give you a discount. Come to the Hop Grenade, they give you a discount if you're an AHA member. Zymergy magazine, fantastic. You and I have written for Zymergy.
Oh yeah.
Access to the AHA forum and the Homebrewers conference. You really can't go to the Homebrewers conference without being an AHA member. And when you do, you're going to see things like John Blickman with our new Blickman Calandria maker.
There you go.
Calandri Blick.
Started here.
Calandriman. Yeah?
Calandriman.
Calandriman from Blickman.
The Calamity from Blickman.
Yes. Yeah. No, I'm not talking about when you guys are driving. I'm talking about all his genius inventions. All right. Let's take another short break. When we come back, we will wrap up with more Home versus Commercial right after this.
Are you looking for a simple brewing system that's great for all grain brewing, but everything on the market seems to be full of compromises? Blickman Engineering has the answer. The Blickman Brew Easy All Grain Brewing System. The Brew Easy is a complete system with easy upgrades and a beautiful compact design, perfect for any size brewing location. At its core, the Brew Easy is built on two gorgeous Blickman Boilermaker brew kettles, a high-temperature March pump, and either a top-tier gas burner or the new Boil Coil electric heater. The Brew Easy adapter lid allows the pots to stack on top of each other, forming an efficient, strong, and compact brewing setup that comes in 5, 10, and 20-gallon batch sizes. Upgrade your Brew Easy system with full automated control by adding a Blickman Tower of Power temp controller, and make moving around easy with the Blickman Kettle Cart. The Brew Easy is modular. If you already own a Boilermaker kettle, you can build your Brew Easy by purchasing just the modules you need. The new Brew Easy all-grain brewing system. See it today at BlickmanEngineering.com and brew with Blickman quality on your new Brew Easy. Since the first time the Brewing Network microphones turned on, More Beer was behind it. More Beer sponsors the programming on the BN because, like you, they love brewing. And like the Brewing Network, they love sharing their knowledge. Morebeer.com isn't just a website to place your next equipment or ingredient order. Morebeer.com also gives you access to free beer information that will make you a better brewer. Go to morebeer.com and click into the Learning Center. You'll find podcasts, technical facts, video tutorials, and more, including access to The Buzz, More Beer's social network of more than 5,000 members. And some of them might even be crazier about beer than you are. Get over to morebeer.com today and take advantage of The Buzz, the forum, the Learning Center, and make sure you're signed up to receive the newest More Beer catalog. More Beer, bringing you absolutely everything for beer making. When I order a beer, I want my server to know more about it than I do. I want someone who enjoys good beer and loves helping others enjoy it too. I want someone who knows how to pour a perfect pint for every beer style. I want a Cicerone.
The Cicerone Certification Program is creating the type of people who help you enjoy great beer. Home brewers and craft beer lovers know beer is more flavorful and complex than ever, and it takes some serious knowledge to store and serve beer right. Cicerones know beer. There are 3 levels in the Cicerone program: Certified Beer Server, Certified Cicerone, and Master Cicerone. Cicerones are truly the sommeliers of beer. The best beer locations have a Certified Cicerone on staff. Relaxed and unpretentious, Cicerones are tested on storing and serving beer, beer styles, flavor and tasting, the brewing process and ingredients, and pairing food with beer. Learn more about your next beer guide at cicerone.org. Certified Cicerone, because it takes top talent to present a perfect pint.
Learning to brew has never been so disgusting. This is Brew Strong.
All right, we're back. We're enjoying a lively conversation about sticking things in and traffic all during the break.
Indeed. I wish I had heard some of that.
Well, I mean, if you need more, John... You know where you can get more? AdamandEve.com.
There we go.
When you need more, that's where you're going to get it. I tell you, you go now with the offer code Jamil, Jamil, to AdamandEve.com. You're going to get 10 things more. You're going to get, first, a special gift for her, a special gift for him, and a special gift for both of you. I don't know if you could put in the comments saying, look, we need 2 gifts for him and 2 gifts for the both of us, or we need 2 gifts for her and 2 gifts for, gift for the both of us. I would think that would be fine, if you ask me. But, hey, I don't run the site, but you can check that out. Right, so you use the offer code Jamil. You're going to get 2 gifts for him, or a gift for him, gift for her, gift for both of you. You're going to get 6 free adult DVDs. I tell you, this is the only place you can find Porno Steve in his classic, the thing that really made his name, Texas Crack Wrangler. That is available only at AdamandEve.com. It's an exclusive, right, Steve?
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Texas Crack Wrangler and other good titles in your 6 free adult DVDs. And then free shipping. That's your 10th item right there, free shipping. You know what shipping costs nowadays? Jesus Christ, if people didn't, help with the cost of shipping, it would be like, paying all over again.
$20, yeah.
Yeah, there you go. So, check it out, AdamandEve.com. You get your 3 free gifts. You get the 6 free DVDs, including the Porno Steve and Texas Crack Wrangler, and free shipping. Just use the offer code Jamil, Jamil, at AdamandEve.com today. All right.
I thought you were going to say Young Frankenstein. But
Yes.
Okay, let's see, where are we? Well, we walked through the boil, I guess. Whirlpool.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the Whirlpool, why do you have a Whirlpool? Is it because you have a plate-type heat exchanger that you've got to pass the wort through?
Yes. Essentially, that is the only reason for a Whirlpool.
Okay, and what does the Whirlpool do for you specifically?
So Whirlpool is just a kettle of a good height to width ratio. You want it wide and shallow. You don't want it tall and deep. Wide and shallow. That's why most kettles with Whirlpool are bad designs. So wide and shallow. And the Whirlpool is just a dumb tank. It's wide and shallow. It's got a drain on one side, and it's got an input on one side. And what we do is just pump out of the kettle into the Whirlpool, and it shoots out at high speed along one of the walls and starts to spin. So there's no pump in the Whirlpool. It's just pumped over from the kettle.
I see.
And the residual speed, it sets it up spinning. We wait, let it all settle out, and then we just start draining off through the drain, through the heat exchanger, and off to the fermenter.
Okay. And so you have and the reason you have a heat exchanger, high efficiency, quick chilling kind of heat exchanger is, again, time is money, and you've got to keep the batches moving, correct?
Yes and no. Yeah, it's important to us, to keep the flow going through the brew plant so we can get the next batch through. But, our heat exchanger, that'll knock it out in, a barrel a minute. It'll probably do 2 barrels a minute if we wanted.
And that probably saves energy on, cooling in your fermenter? It does in that, because we need to pitch the yeast. But one of the things that we experienced early on before we got our latest brew plant was it took like 2 hours to knock out. And when you're throwing like hops into the Whirlpool and you want those no boil hop characters, right,
but not dry hop character, if it takes 2 hours, you just get a huge amount more bitterness.
Oh, yeah.
If you can knock out really quickly, a barrel a minute, a couple of barrels a minute, you throw your hops into your whirlpool, you trap a lot more of that in there. So that's actually pretty important.
Okay.
I think homebrewers can do this by throwing their hops in, even with an immersion chiller, and just stirring the wort with the immersion chiller. That's what I did before I whirlpooled my immersion chiller.
Okay.
And you'll see the temperature drop very quickly and get below the volatilization of a lot of these hop compounds that they want to trap. And that makes a big difference. The only problem is the wort chiller gets really hot. So you expect one side of it, anyways, to get really hot and burn your hand because it'll be boiling. So you use like a glove or something.
Yeah. Okay. So let's see. So I mean, I'm thinking about the chill, no chill kind of paradigm going through the.
That's why no chill has its problems, because your bittering is still, accelerating and still developing.
Still happening above 180 degrees.
Right.
Fahrenheit. Okay, well, let's move on to fermentation. I guess. How much time we have, Jamil? Just a few minutes.
We're out.
Okay.
So
well, we may have
continue
to
away
some of the time. Yeah.
No, continue away.
Oh, okay. Well, with that.
Well, at least let's get it quickly.
Okay, so oxygenation, you do that in line as you're pumping from the whirlpool?
Uh-huh.
Because, that's really kind of the only easy way to do it. You can't shake your fermenters.
Right.
You can't, it's hard to get a propeller in there to froth them.
Mm-hmm.
So, on oxygenation, you use air or pure oxygen?
Oxygen.
Okay. And there's a question in the Q&A that'll be interesting to address, kind of, looking at, how much, do you have an equation, or is it just kind of experience on how much oxygen for how long you inject?
So initially, I believe you can use simple math to help you with this. How many liters of wort you have, how many liters, and what you need to do is measure your oxygen in liters per minute. Actual liters injected into the vessel.
Okay.
And you do that with like a medical regulator that measures liters regardless of back pressure. So that's how you know. It's like, okay, I've got 20 liters of beer or wort. I'm adding 1 liter of oxygen or whatever it might be. And that way, you can actually measure things without knowing the amount of oxygen. You can see how that works out for you. Now, I just took my homebrew rate and I said, all right, I multiplied it out. Here's the rate we're going to use. I used the same rate commercially for several years. And now what we do is we have an oxygen meter that we actually measure our wort oxygen with.
Okay, so you measure your concentration then?
Yeah, but we went years with just doing the math.
Mm-hmm. Is there an easy equation we could tell people on how to convert, liters of oxygen into liters of wort that would give them a concentration? I
always used 1 liter of oxygen for every 20 liters of wort.
Oh, okay. Regardless of gravity or kind of...
Yeah.
Okay. Because you were pitching a number of yeasts in proportional to the gravity, and then giving them 1 liter of oxygen to grow from.
Right. You can always go more or less, but that's a good rule of thumb.
Okay, very good. All right. Let's see. Well, let's see. How tall are your fermenters, Jamil?
Our tallest fermenters are about 21 feet.
Okay. And do you notice that, do you know, are those tall enough that you notice some degree of, fermentation character change in the beer? Between the different sizes?
The fermentation character change between, shorter fermenters and taller fermenters is real. But in something that is, hoppy and, bold and all that, it's really not that noticeable.
Okay. And this is like esters and other flavors as well.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, that's interesting. Okay. Let's see. And are you still doing you're still buying your yeast and pitching that, or are you doing? Do you have a yeast production program at Heretic?
We have a propagator, but a 5-barrel propagator, but we still buy our yeast from White Labs mainly.
Okay, and just buy it to the quantity you need.
$1,500, baby.
Ouch.
No, we actually buy a double batch. They think I'm crazy. They're like, well, why do you buy, a 60-barrel pitch for a 30-barrel beer? I'm like, because the amount of yeast isn't enough for us to, get the same fermentation character. The fermentation character changes. Attenuation changes.
Yeah.
And so I do what I'm telling most homebrewers to do. Buy 2 tubes. Don't buy 1, buy 2.
Yeah.
And, so I do a 60-barrel pitch and a 30-barrel batch.
Okay.
Of lower gravity.
And is that, sure that's rails. What kind of pitching rate does that generally work out to? Like 1 million per mil or
using 0.75, right? Which is a good ale rate. 0.75, which is less than the 1 million. The pitch that they send is good to like a 1028 wort or something like that, or like a 7 Plato wort.
Okay.
It's 7 times 0.75. It's not a lot. It's healthy yeast, sure. It's you get it nice and fresh, but if you want to do an 8% beer, you really need a lot more yeast than that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I pay for double that.
Yeah, you're essentially using the pitching rates that are on Mr. Malty.
Even then, I'm not quite hitting those, but I'm hitting enough to where the beer is turning out the same. Okay. If I don't do that, the beer turns out different. Now, if you're running a brew pub and you're serving everything to your customers there across the bar, and from week to week or month to month, the beer can change, and nobody's But if you're like packaging and doing big distribution, you can't have your beer changing all over the place each batch. So, you have to, step up, and pay for enough yeast to where fermentation attenuates the same and the flavor's the same.
Very consistent, yeah.
Yep.
Okay. How do you carbonate your beer?
Carb stone, and then we just blow it in through the bottom.
Okay, so it goes in, and that's in the original fermenter. You dump the yeast, and then
we do everything in the one. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
We use a unit tank like a unit tank.
That's what they're for,
right? Very few people do.
Interesting.
Everyone's like, "What? You don't have bright tanks?" No.
So a bright tank, in essence, is kind of like a secondary fermenter where you'd rack it over to another tank away from the yeast. It's a unit tank with a
dish bottom instead of a cone bottom.
Oh, okay.
Same thing.
And then you would carbonate in the bright tank? If you used one.
People do. Yeah, they'll transfer from the unit tank to the bright tank and carbonate along the way.
Okay.
You can pump around on a tank, too. Use the same tank and just pump in a loop and carbonate that way. It's quicker, but there is a danger of introducing more oxygen.
Okay.
For homebrewers, I would Just, hook up the, corny keg to CO2 and wait a week.
Yeah. That's my preferred method, too. Okay, do you use any clarifiers?
We in the kettle we use Whirlfloc, and in the fermenter we use a version of Biofine.
Okay, and then does that settles out with the yeast mass, or how do you get that out?
Right. Yeah. It all settles out.
Oh, okay.
Gets
so
dropped. It's not one of the ones you need to filter out.
Oh, okay. So, well, some very similar, but a few differences along the way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And I think that, there's things to learn from professional brewing, but, I think, homebrewers need to always ask, well, why am I doing this? What's that doing to make my beer better? Versus, the commercial brewer who has to do it because they don't really have a choice, or they're trying to save money, or they're,
that's a good
doing
point.
something along those lines. I think that's the thing to watch out for. All right. I think it was an excellent show topic idea, John. Kudos to you.
Thank you.
You're thinking about the listeners and what might be interesting to them. I think what's interesting to our listeners is the new gear that Blickman's going to come out with this year. Come on.
Yeah.
He's always coming out with new things. And I don't know that he's coming out with anything, but I'm guessing he's going to come out with something. That's a smart dude. He's always thinking, always improving. Just like Porno Steve, innovating. Porno Steve innovating his way through porno.
Inventing new things every day.
That's right. All right, if you're listening live, stay tuned. And we will be coming up with a live Q&A session here. All your questions answered. Like that. Right, John?
Right.
If you enjoy this show, make sure to check out our fine sponsors. Check out BlickmanEngineering.com. Blickman with a B and a .com. And if you enjoy the show, tell them how much you enjoy it. You can send it to feedback at BlickmanEngineering.com. And tell them how wonderful they are for paying for the show for so many years in order for you to have free goodies from John and I. Check out Great Fermentations, AHA. Check out Amity. All sorts of good stuff. And if you like this stuff, you could also go to the Brewing Network store, brewingnetwork.com/store. You can get yourself some shirts. You can get yourself some hoodies. You can get yourself some glassware, some pop grenade. No glassware. Growlers? Yes. Stainless steel growlers? Yes. No books? No. I'm going to start selling books off of my site.
The T-shirts.
Yes. And next time we see you, we want to see you in one of them T-shirts. All right? So until then, brew strong, everybody.
Brew strong.